Mr. Chairman, I can't thank you enough for that. I actually texted Delegate Weber, and I appreciate the sentiment of the chair that he would go at ease. House Bill 1382 is indicative of the world that we live in, where things change quickly enough that our code, which is very, very comprehensive, sometimes misses things because there are new things. I didn't know, Mr. Chair, that there was a misbranded food section of the code. By the way, as I dropped the ball, there is an amendment in the nature of a substitute. I have copies.
All right, there's an amendment in the nature of a substitute. Has that amendment been posted to LIS yet? All right, so it's, give us 1 second. It's just a little slow because it doesn't pop on iHod. Do you have any hard copies?
Trees are already dead. Yeah, I got the copies for everybody if they're old like me.
Would you mind passing out the copies? That would save us a few seconds. Thank you so much.
So I didn't even know there was, no problem. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Delegate.
In the process of learning about cell-cultured edible product, I learned that there was a misbranded food section of the Code of Virginia. Cell-cultured edible product is product derived from a circumstance wherein you take protein cells from meats, you take fat cells from meats, from animal connective tissue, et cetera, and you culture these essentially in a petri dish, and then you 3D print them into what test marketers have deemed are appetizing shapes and colors to replicate meat. It is not meat. It is a replication of meat using cell-cultured edible products. And so this raises a number of questions that are relatively new as this technology emerges. First is a question of conscience. I've been blessed to have, I don't even know how many times I've been in and out of the Middle East. I got a lot of friends in Iraqi Kurdistan. And the question that I've had during a phone conversation with one of them is this halal? I don't know. Is it kosher? Right? So it's a question of conscience. It's a question of disclosure. It's not meat, but it's made from meat cells. So I can imagine a world where marketing people will say, hey, it's not meat. No animals were killed in the making of this product, right? But if you're vegan, does it violate your conscience? If you're vegetarian? I would argue that it does, and I would argue that marketing in a world where we have more and more people choosing to make those lifestyle decisions would encourage that mislabeling. And finally, I would argue it's a question of safety. I'm sure that the members of this committee are familiar with tick-borne illness. Sort of the most recent one to emerge, at least in the area of the state I represent, is alpha-gal, which is an allergy to mammal meat products. While this is not meat, while these are cell-cultured edible products made from meat, we believe that it would trigger alpha-gal symptoms, which can include everything from diarrhea and nausea to shortness of breath, hives, and horrific stomach pains. So you have a question of conscience. Is it kosher? Is it halal? You have a question of disclosure. Is it vegetarian? Is it vegan? We have a question of safety. Is it going to trigger alpha-gal because it was mislabeled? So what does this bill not do, which is very important, I'm sure, to the members of this committee? It doesn't prohibit anything. What does it not do? It does not impact any plant-based products. It impacts only cell-cultured edible products as defined in the amendment. It doesn't restrict people's ability to make decisions for themselves, but instead informs people's ability to make decisions for themselves by allowing these products to be properly identified, not as meat, but as cell-cultured edible products. With that, I'd yield to any questions of the members of the committee, and I'm delighted to have a broad base of supporters who I think like to speak in favor of the bill. And by the way, if anybody wants to join in this bill as a patron or chief patron, it's not about me. I don't have to pass it. You want to steal the bill, take it. I just think this is a good policy for the Commonwealth of Virginia. So.
Thanks, Delegate.
Thank you.
I don't see any questions from the committee at this time. Oh, I do see a question from the committee at this time. Go ahead, Delegate Glass.
I'm curious. I always come from a place of curiosity because for the delegate, I heard in your testimony that it could, were you being questioning that it could cause this alpha-gal, am I saying that right? Or alpha-gal, this is new to me, right, from curiosity, or is this something that is actually causing it?
So we know what causes alpha-gal reactions, and that is mammal meat consumption. It's funny, alpha-gal works differently than peanut allergies and shellfish allergies, which we already see labeled on our food products here in the Commonwealth. Insofar as you could eat a steak, for example, and get an alpha-gal allergy 4 to 6 hours later. So it's sort of a sleeper disorder where a lot of people have it and don't realize they have it. Given that we know that alpha-gal is caused by consumption of mammal meat and that cell-cultured edible products are made from Petri dish grown mammal meat, it is believed, but the science isn't there, that it would trigger alpha-gal symptoms. If it doesn't trigger alpha-gal, frankly, maybe people want it to be labeled so that they know that they can eat a meat substitute that doesn't, but it ain't meat. But the answer to your question, Delegate Glass, is we think it would trigger alpha-gal. We do not know. And by the way, not only am I not a scientist, I don't even play one on TV.
Follow-up question slash station. Right, because I was trying to distinguish between if there's a real, because again, from a place of reality and perception, so there's no link, but there's no like CDC or anything that says there's a link between the two, because I would imagine that we would run not the risk of just having to talk about the cell cultured product, but then there would be a piece of this maybe that would need to have some, we've gone through labeling and things like that, that there's a hazard there of a possibility of there being a link between the two.
So this is conjecture on my part, right?
Okay, I was just making sure.
However, as alpha-gal becomes more, because I'd never myself heard of alpha-gal 5 years ago, and now I've met multiple people who suffer from alpha-gal. So if alpha-gal were to become more, because there were no, I'm old, there were no peanut allergies either when I was 10, but they're everywhere now. So it's something that might emerge as a bigger problem depending upon the curve as it relates to the emerging of this tick-borne illness.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Go
I
ahead,
did-
Delegate Lawfer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Real quickly, just administrative, I'm sorry, Delegate Lawfer, before I cut you off, the clerk has reminded me for the third or fourth time that thank you for being on top of it. That's not a dig. That we are all talking about the substitute, but we have not adopted it. The substitute has been moved and seconded. All those in favor of adopting the substitute we're already talking about, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We are now looking at the substitute.
Thank you, Mr.
ahead,
Chair.
Delegate
Question for the patron. Is the FDA going to be labeling anything, or the USDA? Is there any recommendations from those federal agencies?
So I might bring Jim Riddell from the Cattlemen's Association forward because he informed me today that there is a rumbling that the federal government may begin to look at this. I would argue that we don't need to wait for them to do what's right for Virginians, be they vegetarians or people of faith restrictions or dietary restrictions based on illness. But right now, there's not action that I'm aware of, but I anticipate it would happen.
Actually, follow up just to.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts, but obviously this is something that consumers would want to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate Clark, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Does have a motion at a proper time?
We're gonna go ahead and allow testimony and a few other things before we get to motions. And there's some online. We've got a lot of interest in this. So seeing the line behind you, but knowing that it is getting late in the subcommittee hour, let's go ahead and put 3 minutes on the clock for those who want to testify on behalf of this bill. 3 minutes for those who want to testify against, and then we'll do. It looks like we have one person each online, so a minute each online. Thank you. Go ahead.
Jim Riddell, representing the beef producers of Virginia, and to answer Delegate Lawfer's question, there is a bill with several sponsors at the federal level going on right now. It's been introduced related to this labeling and definition of cell culture and so forth. But this bill, again, I'm with Virginia Cattlemen, and we support the bill. This is a misbranding of food bill, and this bill will help end deceptive labeling practices on fake meat products and ensure that consumers know exactly what they are buying. You know, Virginia farmers, you'll hear me say, work hard every day to bring a high-quality, wholesome product to market. And this is an important first step to making sure consumers understand the differences between lab-grown products and meat in beef raised by farmers across Virginia. This ensures that consumers know where their food comes from. Approximately 30,000 livestock producers produce meat across the Commonwealth, but again, we support the bill.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, committee members, my name is Cliff Williams. I'm the Executive Director of the Virginia Agribusiness Council. We stand in support of this bill. Clarity and transparency is important for consumers. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, Jake Tabor, Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. We support this bill.
Thank you very much.
Susie Crows from Virginia Independent Consumers and Farmers Association. We believe that this bill offers truth in labeling, and we support the bill.
Thank you so much.
Dan LaFever, Nelson County, and Virginia Independent Consumer and Farmer Association. Think consumers need the right to know what they're consuming. And at this point, we have no idea what the long-term health effects of eating this would be, and the environmental effects of producing it may be far worse for climate than very carefully controlled, rotating, grass-fed beef and other animals.
Thank you, sir. And we appreciate the pickle shirt. All right. Are there those who are here to speak in opposition to the bill? All right. Seeing none in the room, I know we have one for and one opposed online. Okay. So can you go ahead and let those folks in? And Mr. Bauhan, and I hope I got your name right, sir. I'm sorry.
Yes, Hobie Bowen. I'm president of Virginia Poultry Federation. Appreciate the chance to speak on this. As an industry, we feel that there needs to be rigorous regulation through USDA and through FDA as well. And in the meantime, we are very supportive of the measure that Delegate Garrett has brought forth. So we appreciate it if you would go ahead and report that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Jamali, wrapping us up in the testimony.
Hi, thank you, Chair, Helmer, members of the committee. Thank you for letting me speak today. My name is Drake Jamali. I'm with the Good Food Institute, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to fostering a secure and innovative food system. First, I'd just like to say we, along with the entire all protein industry, support transparency and consumer understanding of the foods they purchase, especially the ones that are conventionally produced. Companies in this space are not in the business of misleading consumers. We believe this bill would create a patchwork of laws that could inhibit innovation and the free market in the future. And just want to focus on the bill, as we believe that it would be premature and could set Virginia at odds with the USDA's clear authority over the labels for cell-cultivated and cultured products. They've actually given authority to 2 companies to sell their products in the U.S. now, and they've labeled it as cell-cultivated chicken. The USDA approves these labels on a case-by-case basis, and Virginia should at least wait for the USDA to give further guidance before setting these rules. Similarly, other states like Texas and Oklahoma have done something, and they're actually in active litigation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jamali. We really appreciate it. Are there further questions from the committee? Are you speaking to the bill, or you got a question?
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion at the proper time.
Let's hold off for a second on that. Delegate, go ahead. You got the last word.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Did I just hear the individual testifying online saying that they're in litigation right now?
Yeah, Texas.
Not to my knowledge. I know that 7 states have already done this. I wish we were the first, but I'm not aware of any litigation, and I hadn't heard a word from Mr. Jamali until just now. So I thought there was peace in the valley on this.
All right. Thank you, Delegate. Seeing that, I think Delegate Lopez, did you want to? Was that the?
Is there someone here in the audience who could speak to that issue?
So there is, it seems that
Hold on, Delegate Lawfer. We'll make sure we keep everything in order. Appreciate it. No, there's nobody here who can speak to that. Delegate Clark, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a motion at the proper time.
Go ahead, Delegate Clark.
It looks like that this bill refers to a lot of existing federal code, and hearing with what's happening with the USDA, I think we should take that motion and wait for guidance. So I do move to PBI this bill.
Mr. Chair. There's literally no existing federal code. That's the point.
Delegate, hold on. There's been a motion. Is there a second for that motion? It's been moved to PBI the bill.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded to PBI the bill. There's 2 minutes for that conversation. Delegate, go ahead. The floor is yours.
I would love someone to point me to the existing federal code. There's literally no existing federal code. 7 states have done this. A guy parachutes in who no one's ever heard of in the room after Farm Bureau, the Cattlemen's Association, the Poultry Association, the beef farmers all say this is a good bill. And then we go, oh, well, there might be federal legislation. I think the proper move might be to continue this to the full committee, Mr. Chair, but I'd love to see the existing federal regulation that covers this. The fact that there might be someone who's submitted a bill, I don't know a lot about Washington, but I do know that people submit bills that sit for 5, 6, 10, 20 years and never get heard before a committee, let alone before the full House. It's never too soon to inform people in Virginia what they're eating. It is totally fair to people based on their faith, their cultural norms, their health needs, to tell them this is a cell-cultured edible product or this is meat. And so, again, I invite someone to show me the federal code that already exists, but I think that was a misstatement, an out-and-out falsehood even, to say that exists.
All right, thank you, Delegate. There's 2 minutes. Would anybody like to speak to the bill? Go
I have a
ahead.
substitute motion when it's appropriate.
Delegate, well, we need to finish debating the motion to PBI. Is there anybody else who wanted to speak?
Well, I'll speak to, I don't want to violate federal, but we don't know enough. So, okay, maybe I can't anymore, but I certainly don't want to put Virginia in a position where we have to litigate this. So if we don't have enough information, so.
All right, thank you. Did you have an alternative motion?
To pass by until 2025, or?
Continue. All right, hold on 1 second.
I don't understand how you just lie to the committee.
Delegate, I appreciate the substitute motion. That's out of order. The motion before us is to PBI. The clerk will open the rolls. Thank you. No, it's fine. All right. Motion before us is to PBI. The clerk will open the rolls. All right, thank you, Delegate. The motion to PBI, House Bill 1382, carries in a vote of 6-4. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members who worked very hard with me to get us to this point.